Te amo! Hello beautiful person, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this a bit controversial video maybe. Yeah, I'm fully aware that the title of this video might possibly trigger a few people. I know, but before we begin, let me give you a quick disclaimer, okay? So, by the end of the day, you can ask your tarot deck or your tarot reader whatever questions you like, right? Now, the professional reader should be able to guide you a little bit through the process of asking questions that are actually going to help you in a way or get you somewhere, because that's the goal of a tarot reading after all, to help you in a way. And if you are reading tarot for yourself, well, that's like completely another thing. You are just doing your practice, and your practice is your practice. You can do whatever the hell you want in your practice, right? Now, with that being said, why am I making this video then? Why am I getting into these waters? Why am I about to talk to you about things that you should not ask your tarot deck? Okay, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I want to help you, some of you at least. If you click with this message, I'm more than happy. If not, at least I hope you have some entertainment or whatever. But my goal is to help at least some of you to realize that there are certain types of questions that are not really helpful to ask your tarot, because there is this tendency that these types of questions that I'm going to be telling you about might possibly hinder your tarot reading more than actually help you out in a way. And after all, the aim of a tarot reading is to help you in a way, right? So I just want to tell you what to maybe avoid and therefore get a little bit of a better experience out of your tarot reading. So with that being said, make yourself comfortable, grab yourself something delicious to drink, and let's look at what questions are better to avoid in tarot reading. Okay, so I'm going to begin with a classic one, and the one that I just can't shut up about. I bring it up over and over and over again, and at some point I even felt like I'm the only one who thinks this way in terms of this particular type of matter. So the very first type of a question that you might want to avoid when it comes to a tarot reading is yes or no questions. Yeah, I mean, we need to talk about this a little bit. Okay? First of all, I'm not saying that yes or no questions are something that should be like completely eliminated, blah blah, because I know they will never be eliminated, okay? I'm fully aware of that. I'm not that delulu. I know that people, especially people who do not really know tarot much, who do not really have any experience with tarot, they usually come to tarot readers with these types of questions, like, is my boyfriend going to get back with me? Am I going to get this job? Am I going to move to this country? Should I get a new cat? Okay. Anyway, yeah, just some questions from the top of my head. People are always going to be asking these types of questions, and I'm always going to be slightly irritated by it, because I personally think it hinders tarot so much, it belittles it so much. Because let me tell you real quick, tarot, as I said multiple times over here on the channel, is a tool that is so incredibly rich in symbolism. It is incredibly rich in layers. It is rich in esotericism. It is an ancient tool that is meant to open your mind, that is meant to give you profound messages and reflections, and you can work with it in such detail. You can have such detailed, deep, profound readings. And when I see people just coming with the questions, is my boyfriend going to get back with me? And you shuffle your deck and you pull I don't even know, the Lovers, and you're gonna say yes, he is. I'm sorry, I really do not want to be like overly critical here or anything, or I don't want to judge anyone. I know that readers do that, and I have my own theory about it. I think that readers are sometimes pushed into doing these types of readings. Sometimes you cannot really avoid it, but yeah. My point is, I think you can see just by hearing my example how this question just belittles the ability of tarot to give you profound readings and messages. That's, I think, what bothers me the most. Now, when it comes to your personal practice, I'm going to tell you about my experience. So me, I would mostly read tarot for myself. I've been reading tarot for myself longer than I was reading for other people. And yes, I'm totally guilty of asking yes or no questions to my decks. However, I myself found it so incredibly useless. First of all, it doesn't really help you, right? It doesn't help you grow. It doesn't help you gain any sort of clarity. It doesn't help you in literally any way. It's I don't know, I just feel like it's lacking. It's just lacking so much. And the other thing that I find a little bit problematic with yes or no questions is that you know how every tarot reader, or well, a tarot reader who knows tarot at least, every tarot reader is going to tell you that there is no such a thing as a positive and a negative cards, right? We've established that there is a positive and negative aspect to each and every single one of these 78 cards. And why am I saying that in this context? Because if we take into account that every card has a light aspect and shadow aspect, therefore I think that every single card can mean both yes and no. And I know that you might argue and say, well, this is where the intuition comes, because the intuition is going to tell you whether the answer is yes or no. But then again, do you even need cards for that? If a stranger on the street asks me whether their friend stole money from them or something, I can just go with my gut instinct and say, yeah. I don't even need to pull a card, because the card is just going to be 50-50 chance as well. Like, you see where I'm coming with this? It's just a little too random. And also, I think that there are other tools, that's something else. There are other divinatory tools that might work a little bit better with it. For example, the pendulum, right? The pendulum is excellent in giving you yes or no answers, because it's simple. It works very well in that setting, to be honest, because the pendulum, for example, is not going to give you a profound reading, right? It is meant for simple, straightforward, mostly yes or no answers. Now, there are also the pendulum, like, boards, etc., that makes it more intricate and complicated, but the pendulum in and of itself provides you with this type of service, for the lack of a better word. Tarot, however, it's like it just really cutting the essence of tarot into like little pieces and using it in this way. I don't know. I find it incredibly useless and also not really accurate, if you will. Now again, this is just my opinion. I'm sorry if I made anyone mad with this one, but trust me, if you avoid these types of questions and you learn how to construct a question that is actually going to be helpful, you are going to see the difference in your experience with tarot decks and with tarot readings in general. Like, you're going to see the difference. Oh, by the way, I think I forgot to say, I'm going to also film the counterpart to this video. So I'm also going to film a video where I'm going to teach you how to construct a question for your tarot deck or your tarot reader that is actually going to bring you a rich, fantastic, amazing, insightful tarot reading, okay? So stay tuned for that. Now, with that being said, let's proceed to the point number 2, and that being health concerning questions. Now, this is something that goes a little bit into a different territory, so this is not something that bothers me as the first one. It's not something that irritates me. This, I believe, goes into the area of responsibility and basically being aware that tarot is supposed to give you some sort of insight and some sort of knowledge on a psycho-spiritual level, mostly, in my opinion. Yeah, of course, you can be predicting and everything. That's not my area of expertise, really, so I'm going to speak on psycho-spiritual level. However, my problem, and well, I think many readers' problem, let me know if you agree, but my problem with this is that there are people who are going to ask you questions regarding their health, mental and physical health, and to be honest, I'm the type of reader who just straight up refuses to answer these types of questions. I always let people know beforehand that I do not answer these types of questions. Why? Because both physical and mental health are medical issues. It's a medical area, and therefore, if you have concerns about your health, you need to be consulting medical professionals. Both if you have concerns about your physical health as well as if you have concerns about your mental health, because that's also incredibly delicate and incredibly important and real. And consulting a tarot reader about things concerning these topics, I think it's highly irresponsible, and I think it's even more irresponsible of a tarot reader who actually gives you reading on these topics. Because as tarot readers, we should acknowledge that giving people medical advice is not our expertise. It is not. I'm sorry, but it is not. And you can be a psychic, you can be a medium, you can be I don't know, whatever you want to call yourself. But if you are not an actual medical professional, you are not supposed to give people medical advice. Okay, not using tarot, not using just your mind, you are just not supposed to do that, okay? Just as you are not supposed to give people legal advice, for example, if you are not a lawyer, okay? It's the same and even more serious, I believe, in terms of like giving people medical advice based on tarot cards. No. I think tarot is good to kind of like work alongside certain maybe treatments and stuff like that, but still, you need to be, I'm sorry, I just have to say it again, and I will say it like 3 more times. If you have concerns about your health, you need to be consulting medical professionals, not a tarot reader, okay? And that also goes if you are doing just your personal tarot readings, if you are just using tarot for your personal practice. Now, I do not really want to be, getting into your tarot practice. However, if you have concerns about your health, I'm sorry, but do not ask your tarot deck about it, ask a medical professional, okay? So, I think I made this one super clear. This is actually like talking about responsibility, and I think that our responsibility should be to refuse this type of readings. I don't know if there is any reader who would disagree with me. I mostly see readers being quite serious and like transparent about this type of topic, like they usually refuse these kinds of questions. I'm not sure if there are some readers out there who just take these questions and answer them. If there are readers like that, please be aware of them, because I don't know, I would not trust a tarot reader with a medical question. I would not trust my tarot deck with a medical question either. I think it's just incredibly irresponsible. So let's not do that. Let's be responsible human beings and let's take our health seriously, okay? So, point number 3, exact timing and dates. Okay. We are going to continue on this light-hearted note again a little bit. So, my dudes, exact timing and dates. Again, I do not blame you. If you do not have any experience with tarot and you come across a tarot reader and you ask them something like, when will I get married? Or, I don't know, when will I have children? When will I get this job? I don't blame you. I know these are the questions that we want to know. Well, I never really wanted to know these types of things, but I know there are people who do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. You can be asking these things to yourself, but when you go to a tarot reader and you ask these types of questions, I'm just gonna say, for the similar reasons as the very first point, so yes and no questions, this belittles the tarot. This hinders the ability of tarot to give you profound readings and actual advice. And I also don't really think it's really accurate. Why? Again, for the very similar reasons as yes or no questions. And that simply being that you can actually, like I was thinking about different tarot cards and how would I interpret that? Like, of course, there are some cards that might be a little bit more easier to interpret that way, like let's say 8 of Wands would be like, yeah, sure, this will probably happen soon, but soon when? Soon when? But then again, if you think about it, again, if you go into actual layers of the cards, you can still interpret almost every card as, okay, that can be really quick, but it can be also really slow. Let's say Ace of Wands. You would say it's the beginning of the suit, so you're right at the beginning, right? And you need to get all the way through the 10, so that might be like, okay, it might take a while. But then again, Ace of Wands is this quick, immediate spark of fire energy, fire being incredibly active, incredibly quick in acting. So that means it's gonna be like soon. So what is it? So again, you're just basing everything on your intuition solely and not really on the card. So why are you pulling cards even? You know what I mean? And you can do this with almost every card. Well, probably with every card. I wasn't really thinking about all 78 cards for this topic, but see, this is why it is a little bit problematic. And therefore I don't think that you can really provide the querent with an actual helpful response, an actual helpful advice, because it's just way too vague, I would say. So I just find it a little bit problematic. Now when it comes to your personal practice, just pulling cards for yourself, yeah, there maybe the intuition might be striking a little bit more, but then again, I just wouldn't base timing on tarot, you know, because again, tarot is mostly meant to help you with like self-reflection. I think regardless whether you read tarot as, you know, psycho-spiritually, or whether you read tarot as interpreting energies around or something like that, still, tarot is meant to help you gain some sort of insight. And these type of questions, like when is this going to happen, it doesn't help you, it is not really going to be exact, and it is extremely vague and based on intuition solely, because every card can provide you with all sorts of answers in these type of scenarios, in my opinion. I don't know what you might think about it, but yeah, that's what I think. So I think it's better to avoid that type of questions as well. Now, the point number 4 are questions that might worsen your anxiety or your paranoia. Now, I have an entire video about how to read tarot when you are in an altered emotional state, because sometimes, you know, for example, you're incredibly stressed about something, right? And some people will just straight up tell you, do not use your tarot deck when you are upset, when you are anxious, when you are stressed, when you are fearful about something, because you might project onto cards. And even if you are going to a tarot reader, you might still worsen the situation, because if the tarot reader doesn't know that you are in that anxious, altered state, they might just give you a reading and they might worsen your anxiety, and that's not something that we want now, do we? There is enough anxiety in this world, there is enough terrifying things and situations, and we do not want to worsen that, okay? We want to relieve that. We want to somehow, we just don't want more negativity in our lives. We do not want more fear in our lives, do we? We can agree on that, at least, I believe. So asking questions such as, for example, let's say that you're already afraid about something that's going to take place tomorrow, and you go to your cards and you ask what's going to happen tomorrow, for example. Now, of course, that adds like that prediction formula into it, which also worsen it a little bit. Well, a little bit. I always say that predictions tend to make more damage than good, because with predictions it's like it can either be something good that will happen or something bad, right? If it's good, well, fantastic. But if it's bad, how does that help you? It will leave you feeling worse than you were. And again, that's not the point, honey. That's not the point, to make yourself feel worse, okay? So if you're feeling fearful and you go to your deck and ask what's going to happen, and you get some card that you were not maybe ready to see, maybe a card that might want to point at something that's actually going to somehow be important for you to somehow move on or progress. But in that moment, you don't get that message, because in that moment you are altered. In that moment, you cannot process it properly. In that moment, you're going to feel worse about it. So I'm not saying don't read tarot when you are feeling fearful, etc. Again, if you want to know how to approach tarot in that scenario, I'm going to leave the video where I talk about that down in the description box, so go ahead and watch that afterwards. But I'm just saying that maybe avoid that type of questions that you know might worsen your emotional state in that moment, right? Or let's say, I just thought about another example. For example, you think that your partner is cheating on you, and in that moment when you're feeling really altered, thinking, well, my partner might be cheating on me, and you go to your deck and you ask something like, well, the typical question would be, is my partner cheating on me, right? And that would be, again, yes or no question. Not helpful. If you ask something like that, or if you ask, who is my partner spending their time with, and you grab a card and you are projecting your fear, you're projecting your maybe anger, maybe your insecurity, you might make yourself feel worse with these types of questions. So maybe avoid asking this to tarot, because it's just not doing any good. So maybe let's avoid that. Oh, and again, that also goes if you go to a tarot reader and asking these questions to reader or your deck. It goes for the both. cases, right? And the last one, so I don't make this video too long, even though I don't know how long I've been talking for. Anyway, the last type of questions that I would probably advise on avoiding is overly repetitive questions. Now, we've all been there, probably. I know that I have come to my deck with the same or similar kind of question, especially about the person. Yeah, hoping that it would somehow, you know, not really change the meaning, because, okay, I wouldn't be doing like the same question over and over, like in a row. However, I would be, for example, shuffling the deck, I would be doing a reading on this person, and then the next day I would be like, I'm just gonna do it again to see whether something changed. Don't do that, honey. Don't do that, honey. And this one I'm really speaking from experience, because asking the same type of question or a similar type of question like over and over again, it not only hinders the reading itself, there is a chance that the cards are going to give you similar type of a reading. There is also a chance, however, that the cards will give you a little bit of a different type of reading, maybe highlighting different points, different things that you maybe haven't really seen. But the thing is, you will end up confused, and also it might hinder your tarot practice in general if you are reading tarot for yourself. And if you are going to a tarot reader with these types of questions, it might still be really hindering, because that tarot reader is going to interpret the cards for you, and you might think at some point, well, maybe this reading that just doesn't make sense because something else came up than the last time. And that's just counterproductive. That's just not going to help you in any way. It's not going to get you anywhere. And I just don't see how that is any helpful. See, so this is why I would avoid these types of questions or these type of readings, really. So if you get a reading on something, try to process it and try to see, as the time passes maybe, how that reading, you know, unfolds, how it actually plays out in your life, and reflect upon it, etc. And maybe after some time, okay, sure, do another reading about it. It's fine. Like, again, after all, you can do whatever the hell you want, okay? I'm just trying to help you here. But doing it in a row, like in a short period of time, not really helpful. And I'm really just saying that because I want you to get some actual great, juicy readings, and you're not going to get those if you just repeat the same thing over and over again, you know. And also your tarot deck might just get a little bit confused with you, okay? Let's be honest. Okay, these would be the 5 types of questions that I would probably advise to avoid when it comes to tarot reading, both in your personal practice and when you're going for a reading from a professional tarot reader. Now, again, as I mentioned, everyone is different. Everyone reads tarot differently. When it comes to your personal practice, that's completely yours and yours alone. So you can get inspired from what I said. You can think about what I said, because that's another thing. I would like you to actually think about what I said. So don't just take my word for it. Like, okay, so she said that I shouldn't do that, so I don't do that. I don't want you to do that. Okay, what I want you to do instead is actually think about what I just told you, maybe like digest it in a way, reflect upon it, see what works for you, what doesn't. If you, for example, if you are working with yes or no questions and they work perfectly for you, and they just hit the point every single time, then please continue doing so. I'm not telling you like never ever ever do that. If you found a tarot reader who does yes or no readings, then please, by all means, continue consulting them. That's fantastic if it works for them. It really doesn't for me, and I know that for many other readers. But then again, not every tarot reader can fit every querent, right? There are so many tarot readers in the world, and online and in person and everywhere, that it's just normal and natural. Then you will click with some and not with others. So maybe my style of reading is for other people and maybe not for you. If you are seeking something like straightforward yes or no questions with tarot, then find your reader. It's completely okay. Now, I think I got a little bit caught up in this. I was gonna say something else. I talk a lot, you guys. Right, I was saying that please just think about what I said. Think about what works for you and what doesn't, and maybe try out some different things and see how your tarot readings change, how they shift, and what sort of insights you're gonna be getting once you start asking questions that are actually sort of like meant for tarot. Now, I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like it's a fact. I'm trying to avoid that kind of language, but I'm sorry if it slips at some point. But yeah, anyway, so see what works for you, see what doesn't. And if you want to know how to construct an actual question for a tarot that might actually bring you some great juicy reading that is going to be insightful and that is going to help you grow as a person or help you progress or help you gain some clarity, then please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned, because I think the week after this one I'm going to post a video where I'm going to teach you how to do that. So as I mentioned, this is going to be like a counterpart to this video, so how to ask tarot the right questions, yeah. So you don't just stay with what not to do and you will not know what to actually do, right? Okay, so with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I haven't triggered you that much. I'm so sorry if I did, but I still felt like this was an important topic to bring to the internet. Okay, so there is that. Like this video if you liked it, and also consider subscribing. As I mentioned, some more tarot videos are coming, and also there are plenty of tarot videos on my channel already. Also, if you want to just look at decks, you can also find these gems on my channel. Don't worry, I'm trying to have it all in here. And yeah, so I hope you're staying kind. By the end of the day, that's what matters. I hope you're staying kind, and I'm hoping to see you next time. Bye bye.